Welcome back to your Morning Manna. This week, we're talking about transparency. While the Bible doesn't really talk about or define transparency for us, it does provide insight on how to live that way. So when we say transparency, what do we really mean? We can say it means being honest and open about our sin. In Proverbs 28:13, we read, "He who conceals his sin does not prosper, but whoever confesses and renounces them finds mercy." And in James chapter 5, verse 16, we are exhorted to confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. The prayer of a righteous man is powerful and effective. And while that indeed is a part of being transparent, I believe that at the heart of the matter, transparency involves who we think God is. Mark chapter 8, verse 27 through 29. Jesus and his disciples went on to the villages around Caesarea Philippi. On the way, he asked them, "Who do people say I am?" They replied, "Some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and still others one of the prophets." "But what about you?" he asked. "Who do you say I am?" Peter answered, "You are the Messiah," or in another translation, "You are the Christ." So, who do you say Jesus is? And even further, do you trust him? Trust is also sometimes hard to define, because we think about it as something that we not only think, but we feel. See, I think trust is best defined by what it involves. Trust, then, involves the expectation that the object of trust, that is, where we're placing our trust, will behave in a favorable manner, or at least a non-harmful manner, and includes the willingness to be vulnerable to the actions of another based on this expectation. So based on this definition, do you trust God? Do you believe that Jesus is the one who he says he is? And if so, do you trust that he will do what he says he will do? Do you believe that he died for your sin, rose on the third day, and now sits at the right hand of God the Father in heaven? Or do you believe that somehow your sin is too much for God and you know better? You must be vulnerable enough to hate your sin and confess it and acknowledge the weight of that sin is too much for you to bear, and then lay it at the cross. It starts there. Then we confess it to one another. It is in this place that I believe we can reach spiritual transparency. That is, being vulnerable with one's spiritual state with another human in regards to their love for Christ, their love for the church, their calling to fulfill the Great Commission. Also, being vulnerable with one's sin struggle and growth in their faith in the sanctifying work of Christ in their life. So I ask you, do you trust God above all else? And if so, are you acting like it? God bless you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.